guys, so these are facts in no particular order about William Shakespeare. In honor of this, I wore my Shakespeare shirt. Shakespeare shirt. I wore it today for this video. A lot of people speculate that Shakespeare did not write his own plays. Other authors include Queen Elizabeth, Christopher Marlowe, who was a contemporary playwright, and Francis Bacon. I've actually read some of Francis Bacon's poetry. He was a great scientist, great philosopher, not a great poet. I can vouch for that. It is also partly true. Shakespeare didn't write all of his own plays. It was very common in that time period for people to collaborate on plays, and Shakespeare definitely did collaborate on some plays. Ones we know for certain he collaborated on are Timon of Athens, Pericles, and The Two Noble Kinsmen. One that we're not sure he collaborated on, but more famously, is The Witches from Macbeth. Many scholars speculate that that was a different playwright who wrote those scenes with the witches, because it doesn't sound quite like Shakespeare. Shakespeare wrote 37 plays and 154 sonnets that we know of, which is huge, especially considering the fact that he died at age 52, I believe. And then, on top of that, what makes it also very impressive is that there's lots of plays of his that we probably lost. Different speculations. Some speculate around 20 plays that we lost. There's really only 2 that we know of by title that we no longer have, like commonly called the lost plays. They are Cardenio, which is totally lost. We know nothing about the plot. We just know there was a play once called Cardenio that we don't have anymore, and it's sad. And a play called Love's Labour's Won. However, a lot of scholars speculate that Love's Labour's Won is the secondary title for a play that we might already have, such as Much Ado About Nothing. So it's entirely possible that Much Ado About Nothing is also Love's Labour's Won, or, you know, there's lots of ones that could be Love's Labour's Won, because there's lots of romantic comedies that end up good. Unlike Love's Labour's Lost, if you've seen that. That's a weird ending. Weird ending. Shakespeare probably was born and died on the same day. The reason why that is a probably is because we know he was baptized on April 26th, and it was very common to baptize a child 3 days after their birth, so most likely he was born on April 23rd, and we know he died on April 23rd. We have some of Shakespeare's signatures. We don't have a ton, but some of the original documents that he signed, and in them, he never signed. He rarely signed the same way twice. I think he signed the same way twice once. And he never signed it the way we currently spell his name. I was actually in English class the other day, and my English teacher spelled Shakespeare wrong, and the entire class was like outraged, like jokingly outraged, but you know, like, how can you spell Shakespeare wrong? You're an English teacher. Shakespeare spelled Shakespeare wrong, so there's actually some evidence that suggests that he did not pronounce his name Shakespeare. There's some prominent scholars believe he pronounced his name Shakespeare or Shakespeare, and not Shakespeare at all, so we could be pronouncing his name totally wrong this entire time. Although Shakespeare is considered one of the greatest poets of all time, only 2 of his plays are actually totally in verse, which are Richard II and King John. Most of them have some prose in them. I believe the one with the most amount of prose is Merry Wives of Windsor, which happens to be my least favorite, partly because it is so much in prose. It is almost entirely in prose, and that kind of annoys me. I haven't read or seen them all, but out of the ones I have, don't like that one. Doesn't work for me. I mean, it's still good, because it's still Shakespeare, but out of Shakespeare stuff, not his best. Two of Shakespeare's plays, Hamlet and Much Ado About Nothing, have been translated into Klingon. For people who like anagrams, William Shakespeare actually can anagram into I am a weakish speller. Irony. Well, the Elizabethans were all weird spellers. Something else I learned today. There's around 200 million starlings in the US. How that relates to Shakespeare. In 1890, an American bardolater called Eugene Schifflin embarked on a project to import each species of birds mentioned in Shakespeare's work that was absent from the US, and part of that included releasing 2 flocks of 60 starlings in Central Park. Starlings are mentioned in several of Shakespeare's works. The one that springs to mind, of course, is Romeo and Juliet. Right. Shakespeare